Hi, this is Mindy from Time to Unwind, and as promised, I am going to do a short video to begin a series of classes. I call these classes Knitting and Crochet Using All 6 Thumbs. It's sort of for remedial, if you've tried and failed. It's for people who don't think they could possibly. It's for people who've forgotten what they learned years ago. Or you can just, sit in on it if you want to. My own background, I was ill a lot when I was a kid. And at one point, my grandfather's housekeeper sent home with my mother a ball of yarn with about 6 inches of crochet. It was the ugliest yarn I have ever seen. I don't know what that color is, and I don't want to. And a hook with the message, teach yourself to crochet. This is in the 60s, the early 60s. So there was no internet. There were books, but I was too sick to go out to the library. There were probably magazines, but I didn't know about them. So I had to teach myself to crochet from what was in front of me. And so I did. And one of the things it taught me was that the best way to learn is to play around. And so part of what this class focuses on is that you can learn a lot by just playing around. And playing around is fun. And this is time to unwind. So we're not going to take these classes seriously. You're not going to be graded strictly. You can, if you have questions or problems, you can always comment section, and we'll get back to you and give you all the help we can. I say we because it's possible that you may get Tracy jumping in with her comments too. But for the most part, I hope to be doing the one teaching. I have taught this class many times. I taught it in the 80s. I taught it at the community center. In the 90s, I taught it in non-credit courses at the nearby college. I finally stopped teaching it when I just plain ran out of time in my life. So we will want to get started shortly. And one of the things I want you to know is, even if you just stopped by and found this and you don't have anything in your hands, that's okay. If you don't own a hook, that's okay. We'll get started without. It would be nice if you had some sort of string, clothesline, strip of cloth, anything long and flexible. I wouldn't go with cooked spaghetti. It might not hold together. Although, when I thought about that, I thought, if you got some really al dente, you could probably crochet a little plate. So, however, since we don't have that, and you just might want to run out and grab something, we'll just take a little break here. We'll have this little spot where you can stop and you can put the pause on, and then come back, and we will start with something. Oh, if you've got a yard or two of something thin. Okay, is everybody back? You got something a yard or two long, at least. Something flexible. It doesn't have to be pretty yarn. It doesn't have to be like this. This is this is some Hobby Lobby bamboo yarn. I finally figured out who made this stuff. But we're going to start by using our hands. It doesn't matter that you don't have a hook right away, because we're going to do finger crocheting. Because what I want you to do is learn what the stitches are like, how the stitches move, and what you can do with them. So first we're going to make a slip knot. If you know how to make a slip knot, make a slip knot. If you don't know how to make a slip knot, let's play. So we're going to take this and we're going to pinch the end with part of the length, and then I am going to twist it. I go around a couple times because it's convenient. Get that tail out of the way. Now I'm going to go through here, see? Go through there and grab that. And now at this point I'm going to hold on here at the top to this spot, and I'm going to pull. See, I made a huge loop. But it's a slip knot, so we can make it bigger, but we can also make it smaller. And this is point one. You can always fix the tension on your stitches. If you make them too tight, you can go back and stretch them out. If you make them too loose, you can tighten them up. You can always stretch them out. Now, we're going to make another stitch. We're going to make a chain of crochet stitch because most crochet patterns start with a chain. So we're going to actually reach through we've got our string hanging down. We're going to reach through and pull the loop up. Take a hold of this and bring it down. Oops, now do we want it that big? Probably not. So let's shrink it down. Stick our fingers back through. Grab this, pull it through. Now look at what we're getting here. We're getting a chain. On the front it's like a series of V's. I hope you can see against the blue against blue. It's better than black against black, but it might still look different. And in the back you've got a series of bumps. So we're going to keep making that for a few stitches. Through, pull it down, adjust, through, pull it down, adjust, stop and look at it. You can pause your video anytime you need to. You don't have to be perfect here. You can have some that are big and some that are little, but kind of get them sort of alike, okay? I'm not even being real picky here, because all I want you to do is become aware of what the stitches look like. I am going to tell you that one of the first rules is don't make them too tight, because you have to go back into them. And of these, actually, these bigger ones are the ones that I could get back into most easily at this point. So, chain to the end of your string, or for a foot or so, and then when you've got that far, I will show you the next magic thing about crochet. Okay, let's stop here with that. And here's what's magic about crochet. Oh my, look at that hole. Oh, it just doesn't fit. Well, I don't have that hole again anymore. And it's that easy to fix your mistakes. So just stop and look at it. Do I want that hole there? No? Okay, I'll get rid of it. Don't panic. Just pull it back, get rid of it, fix it, and you can do it again. Now let's start again. And this time, make our slip knot, pull our loop. Again, pause at any time you need to. Only this time, what I want you to do is instead of using 2 fingers, use 1. I don't care if it's your left finger or your right. I just want you to hold the bottom of the stitch and go through and make a little hook out of your finger. I'm going to do it with my right finger, even though when I was young, my right finger wasn't that useful. Now it is. Now, here, I'm holding this bottom of the stitch from both sides. I will either use those 2 fingers or those 2 fingers most of the time, but it doesn't matter, just so you hold it. If I were to okay, so I've got it like this. I won't even say what I started to say. But what I'm going to do is take my hook. This is my hook. I don't make a very good hook anymore. But I'm going to take it and hook it through with my finger. You can do this with either hand. It doesn't matter. But you're going from using 2 fingers to pull that through to using 1 finger, and with maybe a little help from a thumb. And again, see how much you can make it a little smoother, a little tighter, a little more even possibly, because you're using this finger as a hook. And you're holding it right there so you can make that adjustment easily. I'm putting a little bit of tension on my yarn that I'm holding out here. Most of my tension is right there. This is important. You have to keep it open. If it's not open, you're not going to get through that hole. This tension's good, but you don't have to have it wrapped around your fingers until they turn blue and fall off. A little bit of tension goes a long way. So, keep going. And when you get really comfortable with this, and you can pause and do this for a minute if you want. But when you get really comfortable with it, we're going to take a hook. Now this is, I think, a rosewood hook, size M, size 13, or size 9 millimeters. Okay, if you went to get something, I'm assuming you're back now because you've turned it back on. And if you just waited, you're patient. So, we're going to start with your cord. I chose something thick. I said it was bamboo. It's from Hobby Lobby because that's where it's from. I made a trip there a couple of times and I've gotten some Hobby Lobby yarn. And there's one going to be opening up in town, so it's not going to be a trip anymore. What we're going to do, we're going to start with a Slipknot. Slipknot, if you're not familiar with them, is a wonderful thing, and it's part of what makes the basics of crochet so nice. So you're going to start by hooking a tail here against the length of the yarn, and then going to twist it. I usually twist it a couple times just because I do. Some people wrap it around their thumb and do a cute little thing. You can do that however you want to make a slip knot, but if you don't know how to make a slip knot, make a loop, twist it more than once, and reach through and grab that yarn. Now, once you've got hold of that yarn, you're going to have to let go of everything but the tail and pull it through. Okay, they call this a slip knot because look how big your loop is. You can pull on the end and it'll get smaller again. Whoops, that's too small for my fingers. I'll get it bigger again. Now, again, take the loop, pull it through, and then adjust it to the size you want. You can never have tension problems if you don't want to, because you can always stop and adjust it. You're not going for the Indy 500 here. You're just going to play around and adjust it. And I'm going to bring this back up because I've got way too big here. And then I'm going to take my loop and pull it through and adjust it. Now you can keep practicing that. That's just teaching you how the stitches go. And I want you to look at what you've done. On one side there are a bunch of V's. On the other side there are a bunch of bumps. Can you see those? This is perhaps not the best yarn for that. Better than black. Black may sound really cool, but black is hard to see for those of us with elderly eyes or anybody with eye problems. So, now, say you see a mistake back there. Let's make a mistake here. Oh, look how big that one is. Oh, that looks awful. I don't want that there. I got to get rid of that. You're going to take your yarn and get rid of it. That's how easy it is. So, having done that, and you can practice doing that and making that as long as you want in that method, we're going to do it again, only this time we're going, am I visible here, I hope? We're going to do it again. We're going to make our slip knot. Remember how to pull it through. And then we can adjust it to however big or small we want. I'm going to do it about like this. Now, at this point, I'm going to show you a few little things. When you tension crochet, I have seen people who, seriously, I've seen people who wrap it around their finger 3 times here and then back here 2 times. And okay, this is how I tension my yarn. This part of the yarn really only needs a little bit of tension. This part of the yarn right here, below the loop, so that you can see the loop, that's where your tension needs to be. Now, I don't care how you hold it. I don't care with which hand you hold it. But you're going to have to find a comfortable way to hold on below the loop. I like to do this, but I don't always do this because I get a cramp in my hand. So my fingers go all over the place. I change my hand position a lot. I sometimes have been known to do it with the other hand. And when I do it with the other hand, maybe I'm doing it this way. You can do it with whichever hand you want. You can switch back and forth, and in fact, I advise it. We'll come to a point where I will make you take your crochet hook, turn your whole little project around, and start off and doing it in the other direction with the other hand. That's part of this class. And if you don't like it, you tear it out. I've had a few people say, hey, I can do this better with this hand. So this time, get your tension down here. Put a little bit of tension out here so that you can actually, have something to catch on to. Instead of sticking 2 fingers through, we're going to stick 1 finger through. We're going to make a hook of our finger. Some people make bigger hooks, some people make littler hooks. We're going to make a hook with our finger, hook that. I do better coming from the front. Hook that yarn and pull it through with our finger. Again, hook that yarn, pull it through with our finger. Our finger is now our hook. So hook the yarn. I do best wrapping it from the front. You try it a couple different ways, but for me that's the easiest. I'll make my loop smaller. Hook it through, adjust your stitch. Hook it through, adjust your stitch. Again, look at what you've done. Now that first one I really kind of goofed up, so that first stitch is pretty ugly. So we'll pull that out. You can do this over and over and never have to buy new yarn, or you can save all your little squiggles of yarn and compare them. See, when you get better, you can go fast with this. But notice what I keep having to do? I keep having to let go and bring I can do that for a minute, but I have to bring my fingers up to there. That's where the tension needs to be. Okay, so once you get good with that, then you can get really fancy if you have a hook. And now you can put your hook in. This says it's a size M, a size 13, and a size 9mm. Isn't that fun? Those are all the same size. I believe this is might be a Vanna White hook, a rosewood hook. I bought it because I liked it, not because I remember who made it, but I'm going to look for the link for you. So we'll put the link down below if we have it. If I find it. If I remember enough to find it. Okay, now remember how I was doing that with my finger hooked? Now we're going to put this in, and this becomes my finger. It's a little skinnier than my finger. The bend isn't much more, but it doesn't move as well as my finger. And sometimes that's a good thing. So we're going to go in, under it, turn it down, and you're turning it down because you want it to go through that. If you don't turn it down, it doesn't go through real well. You can try, but it probably will go through better. It's like a teardrop shaped loop, and it'll probably go through better if you turn it down so that the hook goes through that pointy part. So then kind of wrap it under, up, around, turn it down, pull it through. Under, up, around, turn it down, pull it through. You can make a little song of it. Under, up, around, turn it down, pull it through. You can be as silly as you want. Silliness counts. Okay, so if you do not have a hook, you can practice this when you get a hook. If you want to make a hook, you can use a chopstick or a piece of dowel and carve it, or you can bend a piece of wire, or you can actually go buy one. But just practice as long as you need to. The next video will be up probably in less than a week, to a week or less, and we'll have the next step. But in the meantime, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. Someone else may have the same question. And don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, hit like if you enjoyed this, and remember, it's time to unwind. Don't let this get you tense, because that's not what we're here for. We'll see you again soon.